and that is bad, and they all knock it off. Meanwhile, the police have taped off Crazy Dave as he attempts to finish ice cream before it melts. He fails. So he makes flame-resistant ice cream. That is what he's doing. In Grown Sweet Home, the plants are sleepy from Crazy Dave's antics, so they move out and try living alone. So the humans teach the plants how to be functioning adults, and Zomboss, remembering his college days, remembers how to plagiarize by planting cameras in their home, and starts teaching zombies how to human as well. I guess Nate and Catrice don't have parents. They live with plants for the next several weeks. Eventually, both parties are able to successfully blend in, but the plants learn a little bit better, so when they meet up with Zomboss, they run away, but Zomboss goes, "No, we're better." So they have a human off and take a break at 5 o'clock. Meanwhile, Crazy Dave is making spaghetti. Fails. Working overtime, the children sneak in the zombie.
Bye, Bill.
Fails. Working overtime, the children sneak in the zombie base for the next day. There's a parade battle, but since Dave loves parades, they win. And I'm not kidding, this conflict ends when he gets out a few zombies for eating Zomboss's Pop-Tarts, so he has everybody else jump him. And this is when Dr. Zomboss really kicks it into high gears with the absolute peak of his wrath. From February 25th, 2014 to at least February 23rd, 2016, there will be the legendary saga of Garden Warfare. The time of walking through the plants slowly has ended, my friends. This is war! And only the strongest will survive! Dr. Zomboss reducing his top soldiers to lead his armada to victory, while the Crazy Dave modifies some of his plants to be even larger and more powerful. In the first game, it's pure Armageddon. Crazy Dave commands his team to regain lost land of Neighborville, while Zomboss built larger defensive forts. This is a genuine war with attempted assassinations and tactical moves. Later on, when the plants start losing, Neighborville is looking more like Zomtown, as Zomboss manages to build numerous separate bases. The elite branch of the military asks one plant to come out of retirement, and so the Corn Man has to get his shit together and join the fight. But I don't know why he has cores. This is upsetting. The comic that goes over this event provides more story. Nate and Patrice come from the future to truly end the fight. This is making the taco situation more confusing. On the contrary, though, Zomboss is using time portals to bring in more zombies through all of history. All the other citizens are invited to an ice cream cruise ship, so that explains why Dave's the only human in, like, the Garden Warfare franchise right now. There are two other plants, Rose and Citron, who have their origins revealed. Rose simply came from the past, there's not much to add there, but in the future, a little citrus volunteered for Crazy Dave's Super Soldier project, but Crazy Dave accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction. Cologne. Thus, Citron was born, and he looks like that. Please stop looking at me like that. Lots of fighting, lots of antics, lots of duels. It's super cool and intense. After hours of intense fighting, the plants are victorious. And what is Dave up to? Well, he's using frogs to close the zombie time portals. Okay. Also, gnomes. There's gnomes now. They hate both sides, and they even came from an alternate dimension. You know what that means. PBZ is part of a multiverse. Are you being surprised anymore? Like, genuinely. Every time. It's multiverse. October 18th, 2016. PvZ heroes. Somehow Crazy Dave and Zomboss both agreed on temporarily being giant scary floating arms, and Zomboss uses a machine called the Herotron 5000 to turn a bunch of regular zombies into heroes. This misfires and creates the Green Shadow. I don't feel comfortable about it. Never have, never will. Guys, this is not helping. With that, the plants get a whole army of heroes, and you get the idea from here. It's just plants go place, breaking the legs and vital organs and each and every zombie come across. This is actually pretty easy to understand. September 4th, 2019, Battle for Neighborville. War be happening again. Infinite Wars Crazy is recognized as a worldwide savior. Despite all the trials and tribulations he's endured, he's saved the world a countless amount of times. He's such an icon, he's a costume in Little Big Planet 3. So, I mean, basically the next George Washington. So now he has a mansion. That's why he has a mansion. Now, story-wise, this is very much like the other games. It's more so a collection of larger battles with top soldiers on both sides working to take down the other. Based on previous hints, we can also confirm that the plants most likely won the previous warfares, trapping most of the zombies until that doesn't happen, and now violence. But again, the gnomes are back, the evil plans revolving around the moon are back. Honestly, it's very formulaic. Zomboss keeps goofing his gunk up. All it would take is some weed killer to stop the plants. All it would take to beat the zombies zombies, it's some violence. Dr. Zomboss is a net negative for society. I'm shocked he's still alive. The remainder of the comics helps show more of the characters and some of the problems they have. From this point on, the cycle starts to advance and kind of just become repetitive, each issue going from major arcs to one-off stories. The remaining portion of the comic can go virtually anywhere post Garden Warfare 2, and it still makes sense. The next issue is Pedal to the Metal. Cars. Nate challenges Zomboss to a race war, but since all the plants were busy racing the zombies, the other ones take over. Humans win when Zomboss slips on a banana peel. Then the kids throw a pizza party. They do this a lot. Also, all Crazy Dave was doing was being the designated driver and playing a game called Don't Blink. This is humanity's savior. Next is Boom Boom Mushroom. The zombies want to make a cavern base and sink Neighborville by digging all of Earth under it so everything collapses. Oh, but don't worry, this is not going to be an issue because Crazy Dave, off screen, won a pet pig named Twister from a singing competition in Guatemala and went on legendary quests through the land to find the Boom Boom Mushroom. And they all want it, so using Twister's pig smell, they find the bomb and make a trap that ends with Zomboss being trampled by bulls. In Battle Extravaganza, there's a guy who turned red from eating too much of his beet bread, and now he's red. That rhymes. I'm gonna get a water real quick. Now he's red, and he wants to sell his factory. Both parties want it. This is where I remind you, Crazy Dave has proven to be one of the most important people in the world, with connections to real-world governments, and Zomboss has proved to be a threat. Realistically, the government owes Dave this factory. We are officially at the point where this is basically a cartoon with Burnout, and they just throw up ideas. Zomboss does some human trafficking for a zombie circus, he forces a famine. Worst of all, he joins a book club that he's actually passionate about, and a freaking thing shows up and ruins it, so now both sides are trying to get more people in their book club. That's the plot of this one. Truthfully, especially later on, these stories become more complicated. Don't amount to that much. It's mostly treated like a weekly scheduled event at this point. There's nothing wrong with that, I just wasn't expecting it. The relationship is all staggered into a tragic level of repetition where everyone just does enough to roll their lives, not think about what exactly they're doing with themselves. This is Phineas and Ferb, Zomboss, and where I reflected upon everything that he endured, like an insane genius and a petty dead man doomed to all of history with their mere existence. In the PvZ world, these two have forced all of time to endure a hellscape of zombies roaming through history. And for what? A taco? A science fair? The fact that out of billions of years, zombies have literally not only been a threat for all but 30 minutes across all that time, just because of this stuff is a little bit funny. The taco better have cured AIDS, and that science fair prize better have made, like, the 119th element, because even if that stuff was the case, they would only, like, balance out the consequences they caused by, like, 2%? Anyways, war's done. I would argue this is one of those wars where nobody exactly won, but everyone definitely lost. Especially the gnomes, they super lost. They're out of the story now. The zombies have basically retreated to their norm in Neighborville, and though all the land has been regained, we have to rebuild. And that pretty gracefully slides into the time point of January 17th, 2024. Plants vs. Zombies 3, a proper and prepared and beautiful continuation into the classic gameplay, with a new coat of paint that includes plants that don't make me want to say my safe word as much. So get this, Dr. Zomboss remembering every single one of his endless amount of defeats, remembering all those years he's tried and failed that amounted to nothing, all those horrible atrocities that have wasted everyone's time, after spending an extended period thinking about his life, his actions, his consequences, all of the failures that led to this very moment, he decides to do the unthinkable. It's time to invade Neighborville again. Oh, what? You thought there was going to be more? No, it's just plants versus zombies. The plants are good, the zombies are bad. I see this more as both sides are running low on materials after a decade of Xbox Live profile pick material. I can see their mitochondria, so that's how high definition they are. But, yeah, that's my justification for the events going on here. There's not many acceptable plants or zombies and stuff. So now, we're right back at the start. One Nimrod forcing another into an endless battle with no outcome or change, with the same stuff in the same place, repeating over and over with their own little twist at each turn. PvZ's story is the definition of insanity, which fits these perfectly. Why does anyone live in Rio, by the way? A single gun. I'm shocked the zombies have lasted this long. Crazy Dave has military connections. He seems to be choosing to prolong this. I see it in those eyes. Look like mine. As Crazy Dave would always say, gargle, flarb, flarb, and really, that's how I would best describe this tale. Random, but consistent. Just like this franchise, and just like these characters. Well, that's all, folks. I came up with a funny idea today, but here's the deal. If you guys fix this statistic and subscribe and gunk or share and do all that stuff, I will sing the iconic song Zombie on Your Lawn. This isn't a bit, I really want an excuse to sing poorly. And now that I'm done being the mayor of Yap City, I could really go for some lovely free samples, like this cupcake.
Are coming.
Scrumdiddly. I wonder what kind of lovely ingredients are in this. Huh.
Abby is a plant whose name has consistently been stepped on this channel. That's mainly due to the reason that it kind of just underperforms. But that was at level 1, so I thought, what if it's max level? Would it still underperform? Will it single-handedly vanquish all the zombies within PvZ2 to replenish its dignity? Well, let's find out. But before we begin, let me quickly go over the rules for you. Only Fappy, skip all levels and force the use of another plant. 3-place plants are fine. And lastly, pouring farm direct knowledge can be used to buy plant seeds, but no replaying levels to farm coins. Oh, and about 7.1% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you end up enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always unsubscribe. Okay, let's begin. And for Fappy, ancient Egypt was easy enough, but it isn't really worth mentioning all the small details. So here's all the levels at once, and while they play out, I can quickly go over the stats of the max level Fappy. Its sun cost goes from 150 to 75. Its recharge goes from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. It has 900 health. Also, with the mastery comes a 1 in 5 chance to boost every time I place it down. For last, I saved its damage, because if you're unfamiliar with Fappy, it has 2 different types of attacks. One is just its normal attack, which at max level does 45 damage, but then from every 4th to 6th hit, it does a bigger attack, which at max level does 135 damage. And I'll point this out in Pirate Seas just so you get a better picture of what I mean. And with that, all the levels of ancient Egypt were very easily beat. Next up, and here we are, day 1 of the Pirate Seas. And this is the perfect level to kind of tell you about the strategy that I chose to use with the Fat Beats. Very similarly to the Lightning Reed, you want to be using the top middle lane and bottom middle lane because of its area attack. And you can see the Fat Beats in the back are 2 columns away from the ones in the front. That's because these 4 Fat Beats are now able to cover most of the map. And if by some chance a zombie gets to the very back, we can very easily place another Fat Beat to take care of it. And that was day 1 of Pirate Seas. Day 2 starts, nothing really special, just missing half of 1 lane, and I chose to go with the quad placement of the Fat Beats. Normally when I'm doing these challenges, I like to look through the PvZ wiki just so I can keep my statements as factual as possible, and I learned that Pirate Seas takes place in the year 1679. Pretty cool. But aside from that, day 2 was also very easily beat. Day 3 again is 1 flag, with us missing half a lane in the middle lane, and I quickly got down 2 Fat B in the top middle lane and bottom middle lane, later adding 2 behind. And again, with the strongest zombies being the swinging pirates and the coneheads, the final wave was no joke. Day 4 ramps up a little bit by adding a second flag, but I chose to just stick with my normal placement. And you can kind of start to see where the Fat Feet starts to fall off in the top middle lane with the bucket head, because even though the fat beat is max level, the zombies start getting some hits off. And with 2 back-to-back bucket heads, that fat beat actually got eaten. But of course, I quickly replaced it, and that one actually insta-plant fooded, knocking out all the zombies next to it. Lastly, that zombie in that bottom lane finishing day 4. Day 5, 6 with 2 flags, but this time, 3 of the lanes are less than half of their tiles. And one of them happens to be the top middle lane, throwing my strategy off just a little bit. These are the placements I chose to go with at first, but then I placed another fat beat in that bottom middle lane, so throwing my OCD off later. Now, within the final wave, there's a lot of single zombies. So I chose to plant food my fat beat, which instantly took out basically every zombie, beating day 5. Day 6 also had 2 flags, and again, the same lanes with the same tiles were missing. So of course, all my placements ended up being the exact same as well. And the final wave sent in a lot of swinging pirates, but they were all easily taken down. And now with only a couple of bucket heads and a cone head remaining, day 6 was beat without any casualties. Day 7, once more, it was only 2 flags, and this time only 2 of the lanes had tiles missing. And thankfully, it was the top lane and the bottom lane, which allowed me to go back to my previous strategy for the placements. But there was a little problem within this level. That was the introduction of the barrel roller zombie that immediately took out that top lane fat beat. So I placed another fat beat right underneath to take it out. Then I realized there's another one in that middle lane, but somehow 2 fat beats were able to take it out. And so the easiest fix to the strategy of the fat beat placement to take out the barrel roller is just adding a fat beat in that middle lane. That meant that any barrel roller that would come in would have 2 fat beats dealing damage to it, ensuring our victory over them and day 7. But then although day 9 did have 2 flags, it went back to limiting our tile space. So honestly, this wasn't too bad because we could place the fat beats in the back to take care of any swinging zombies or any other zombies that would happen to make it there. And we could just plant 2 fat beats in those front lanes that can take care of basically any zombie, including the barrel rollers, because there's at least 2 of them. And so although we're limited by tile space, we still only had to plant 4 fat beats to take care of all the zombies. In the end, beating day 9 very easy. Day 10 was another step up in the pirate seas, with the level now having 3 flags. And honestly, even though the tiles were limited, I could have just gone with the strategy from the previous level, but for some reason I chose to go with the strategy from the earlier levels, the double fat beat placement in the back. And this level actually introduced imp cannons as well, but the cool thing about the fat beats was they were able to damage them because of the area damage. And even the imp cannons that seemed impossible to reach, like the one in the bottom lane, were reachable if we could just plant food or fat beat. And this helped us quickly beat day 10. Now we're at day 11, again with 2 flags and 3 lanes limiting our space. And I mentioned earlier that I'll show you what the bigger attack of the fat beat looks like. So if you just focus on that top fat beat, as soon as the swinging pirates land, it does it. And if you look at it again, you'll see that this is its normal attack. It's a pretty cool feature, and I'm not gonna lie, even though I've played this game a lot, I did not know that existed before doing this challenge. There was an annoyance within this level, and that was that top lane imp cannon, because I plant fooded this fat beat, but it didn't reach. And then if you look in the front of that bottom middle lane, I planted another fat beat and plant fooded it to try and reach it, but it only ended up reaching that first imp cannon and not that top one. Meaning for this level, an imp cannon was unreachable and we just have to wait it out. And then after about 25 seconds, it exploded and we easily took out all the imps, beating day 11. Day 14 is the first prepper defenses level, not including ancient Egypts of course, so I prepped some defenses.
Automate dev maintenance with Azure. Free yourself to focus on innovative new projects and spend less time on routine tasks. Try Azure for free and start innovating with 65 plus always free services.
All right, we ready?
Hi guys, roll again.
It's okay to look at each other, right?
Here we go.
I learned about crypto for a body of work.
I've been focusing on crypto gaming.
I was making YouTube videos. I wanted to work on something that's
14 is the first prepper defenses level, not including ancient Egypts of course, so I prepped some defenses. And I added a few more in my normal placements just because I could. And even though the final wave sent in a lot of zombies, the fat beat's area damage was easily able to take them all out. Day 15, I first quickly shoveled this 3-peater, and in one of the previous videos, about 10 people made the same joke about 3-peaters having 3 Peters, and I thought that I should mention that so you guys can really enter my mind state. But aside from that, this level consisted of a lane of flowers that we had to protect from being trampled on in the very back, and also 2 flags. Normally, I'd plant a column of fat beat right in front of the flowers, but this time I didn't really see the need. And with the final wave being heavily underwhelming, honestly, the right after plant shooting this middle fat beat easily beat day 15. Day 16 is probably the first semi-challenging challenge where we have to protect these 2 spring beans in the middle lane. And take the phrase semi-challenging very lightly because this wasn't very challenging at all. With a couple of extra fast placements in day 16 lanes, we're easily able to beat all the barrel rollers in day 16. Day 17, we have 2 flags, a certain challenge where we have to beat a specific amount of zombies in a certain amount of time. So I place extra fat feed in those top 2 lanes just for the extra damage. And with that, we're easily able to meet the challenge of progress. The final wave sent in a couple of swinging zombies and flyers alongside some imps, but they were all easily taken care of. There was an imp in the bottom lane who had to plant an extra fat before, but that was the last zombie. Day 17 was easily defeated. Day 22 is a fun level, but first we have to prep some defenses. And I really wanted to see if the quad placement fat beat strategy was able to beat this entire day. The first cannons only sent a few imps, so they're obviously easily beaten. About halfway in, the numbers ramped up a little bit, but still, the fat beats proceeded. And then there's this one massive imp launch that was kind of scary for that top middle lane fat beat, but somehow it made it through. And then again, another massive imp launch, but all the imps were easily beaten. I was thinking they must be low health, but somehow the fat beats kept on overcoming all of the imps thrown at them. But then tragedy struck as a massive imp launch soared through the skies and the bottom middle lane front fat beat was eaten, and I had to quickly replant it. And then the final big launch was sent in with the very satisfying defeat of all the imps, beating day 22. In day 23, we had to protect flowers from being trampled on and also defeat a certain amount of zombies in a certain amount of times. And it only had 1 flag. And this time my strategy was to first cover all the flowers with fat beat, because this time the flowers were a little more up front than last time. But after the flowers were well protected, I planted another column of fat beats very far forward. And this was in hopes of speeding the level up as well as trying to meet the requirements for beating the zombies in a certain amount of time, which of course we did. And the final wave also didn't send anything too difficult, so we easily beat it, conquering day 23. And here we were, the final day of the Pirate Seas, where we have to protect these 2 spring beans in the top and bottom lanes. And to protect them this time, I planted a fat beat right next to them, and then right after a fat beat right behind both of them to give them double protection. But then I realized I could add another layer because the fat beat has that one damage, so I can place one across the spring beam, which also protects it. And with a very mediocre final wave, Pirate Seas was very easily defeated. Next up, Day 1 of Wild West already has minecarts in it, which of course we basically never make use of, but there was a special thing of my own that I decided to do in the Wild West, and that was a 2 fat beat challenge. My goal was to figure out how far could I get into the Wild West by only using 2 fat beats. As you can see, Day 1 was very successful, but Day 2 quickly showed us the fat beat might start to fall. That was that left head and that top middle left. Of course, as we mentioned previously, always be pissed off if it's only 1 fat beat going against it. And 2 extra heads able to take out 1 fat beat. Of course, we have the power of our foot, helping us with Day 3 quickly introduced the banner zombie. Thankfully, it was in the very middle lane, so both of the fat beat were able to instantly take it out. But then within the final wave, another piano zombie was sent. But again, it was only in the middle lane, and a plant food from my fat beat was able to take it out alongside most of the other zombies, beating Day 3. Day 5 was the first level with 2 flags, and a zombie in the middle lane that could also be very detrimental, like the buckethead, if sent in big quantities. And as the first big wave was sent in, I kind of panicked a little bit and plant fooded the top fat beat, which instantly took care of all the problems. Another good thing about the fat beat was they're able to take out the dynamite zombies before they leap over to the back. But even if they did leap over, the fat beat has area damage, which attacks behind it, so they wouldn't really be that big of a problem. And now is the final wave, and somehow no tanky zombies were sent directly in front of the fat beat. So in a very simple manner, we took out all the zombies, beating Day 5. Day 6, defenses were prepped, or I should have said minimal defenses were prepped, because of course we're still doing the 2-plant challenge. And these levels always quickly send in a lot of zombies at once. So of course I had to plant food that top fat beat to take care of them. And then a little bit later, I also had to plant food this bottom lane fat beat, which destroyed all the zombies that were coming towards it. And then came in the final wave. And this could have been bad if both of the fat beat had a tanky zombie right in front of them, but thankfully it was only that top fat beat that did, so I had to plant food that one, but the bottom one was easily able to handle itself. In the end, conquering Day 6. Day 7 was also very simple, but then was Day 10, the day that introduces the chicken wing rules. In the chicken wrangler up top got hit, but then a chicken leaped through the fat beat, making it all the way to the lawn. And honestly, at first, I expected the fat beat's area damage to be able to take care of all the chickens without a problem. But seeing what had just happened, I knew this was going to be a big problem. And as the chicken wrangler was sent in the top middle lane, a chicken again made it through, and I was about to lose. But I decided it was time to let go of this challenge because there's no way I was getting through these chickens. Because if you look in the bottom lane, even with plant fooding, the plant food animation takes time, which allows the chickens to run past the fat beats, in a way making the plant food kind of useless against the chickens. So in the end, I decided that day 10 was as far as 2 max level fat beat could make it. And now we're on day 11, where there wasn't a restriction of 2 max level fat beat, but there was a restriction of only 500 sun. But of course, that's much more lenient. So I made use of the sun, planting 4 fat beat in total, easily beating day 11. Day 13, I used the same exact placements, and you might be wondering why these placements are a little bit different from the Pirate Seas ones, since the Pirate Seas ones covered much more ground. And the main reason is that the Wild West doesn't have swinging zombies like the Pirate Seas did, so there's not much reason to protect the back of the lawn. There's much more reason to protect the front for things like bulls, and of course any other tanky zombies like the bucketheads or the pianos. And the final wave sent in a decent amount of tanky zombies, but nothing too much, allowing us to easily conquer day 13. Day 14, I was expecting it to be an interesting one because there's another level that includes the chicken wingers. But with these 2 extra fat beat, all the chickens are very easily dealt with, allowing us to beat day 14 without losing a single one. Day 15, we're only allowed to lose 2 plants, so we beat it without losing a single one. Day 16, we have to protect this 1 walnut on this minecart, and I do so by planting 2 fat beats, 1 in front and 1 behind it, and these were easily able to take us through the entire level. Day 17, we have to protect the flowers from being trampled on, and my first move was planting a fat beat right in front of all the flowers, just for some extra protection. Later, planting 2 more fat beat very up front for the main source damage, and then even 2 more fat beats for even more damage, allowing us to beat day 17. Day 18, defenses were prepped, and I decided to be a little devious by planting 6 fat beat instead of the normal 4. But then I quickly realized that this was a good decision because there was a crazy amount of chickens being sent, and my front 2 fat beat were very easily eaten by all the chickens. But then of course I got scared, so I quickly replaced them, thankfully beating day 18. 19 was a little scary as well because we could only lose 2 plants, so I decided to go with this formation of fat beat to maximize my chances of winning, which of course we did without losing a single fat beat. Day 21, we had to protect more flowers from being trampled on, and with our normal methods, we did so very easily. Day 23 is probably the scariest of these challenges because we have to protect these flowers from being trampled on, and also we can't lose more than 2 fat beat. And what makes this truly scary is that this level sends in chicken wranglers. And to counter this, I placed more fat beat than I think I have throughout this entire challenge so far, which allowed us to beat this devious level on our very first try. Day 24 is the final level we play of the Wild West, and normally it's difficult depending on the plant we have, but thankfully fat beat pairs up pretty well with these walnuts, so we're actually able to beat this level very easily. And that was all the Wild West with only max level fat beat. Next step, Frostbite Caves, although it has an annoying gimmick of freezing plants, in theory shouldn't really be a problem for fat beats because they have that area attack damage, so anytime a plant gets frozen, another one should be able to unfreeze it. But that's just in theory, so let's see if it truly works out like that. Day 2 has 1 flag, 3 frozen walnuts, and 3 frozen repeaters, and we choose to just go with the basic placement of 2 fat beats in the very front and the top and the bottom middle lanes. For now, there isn't really much need of fat beats in the back because there isn't really a zombie that can get there, but later on there will be the snowstorm zombies like the ones in ancient Egypt that come in with the sandstorms, and that's when we'll need to start placing fat beat in the back as well. But besides that, day 2 is easily beat. Day 4 quickly already brought in 2 flags and some pretty weird redirection paths in the bottom 2 lanes. And I wasn't really sure when the snowstorm zombies were coming in, so I actually already started placing fat beat in the back. But this level was especially annoying because it started introducing the snowball throwers, and to semi-counter them, I had to place a fat beat in the middle of my 4 that already existed, just in case any got frozen. And this was very much needed because these snowball throwers in the final wave started getting really annoying. As there was only 2 of them, it would be completely easy. Day 6 again had 2 flags and 2 frozen sunflowers, but they definitely upped the freezing aspects of this level as my fat beat kept on getting frozen. And to counter this, I had to keep placing the fat beat in the middle lane behind the others just so it'd keep breaking the ice. In the end, having to place a lot more fat beat than I first expected, but day 6 was still beat. Day 7 had these frozen imps and frozen split peas who were kind of in annoying positions, so I decided to break them and shovel them as soon as I could, and then replace where the split peas were with more fat beat. And I think these snowball throwers are definitely the worst zombie of this world for fat beat because it has some pretty limited range. But by spamming a couple more fat beat, day 7 was also made pretty simple. Day 9 was another difficulty shift as I added a 3rd flag, and I guess dodos as well, but they aren't really much of a problem. The first 2 big waves were pretty easily beaten. The final wave was also just showing off the dodos, so it wasn't difficult either, allowing us to beat day 9. Day 11 is always a surprising difficulty shift because it quickly adds the 4th flag, and judging by the redirection tiles, this level should theoretically be able to be beat just in that bottom lane, but the game very quickly psychs you out by sending dodos in the top 2 lanes, showing you that it's not going to be possible just in that bottom lane. This level was also pretty heavy in windstorms, consistently freezing my fat beat, and it pretty heavily spams zombies, but thankfully the fat beat has very good area damage, so the spamming of the zombies isn't much of a problem at all, allowing us to beat day 11. Day 12, I prepped defenses in a very odd manner. And I chose to go with these placements because I wanted a defense that could fend for itself, but at the same time I didn't want to overplace because I didn't want all my plants to get frozen and then I didn't have any sunlight. And you can see that I had to add another fat beat in the 2nd column in the middle lane just to fight off the ice. But other than that, day 12 was completely beat as well. Day 13 had 4 flags and also a column of flowers in the very back that we had to defend. This time I didn't really bother placing fat beat right in front of the flowers because they were in the very back. Instead, just went with the star pattern in the front. But this is a level I'm very familiar with. Because in the beginning, it just seems like a simple defend the flower level, but then out of nowhere, the final wave always introduces me to Veyr in that obby. But of course, I knew this, so I quickly planted a fat beat to counter the imps that were going to be done. And the Gargantua was beheaded, and day 13 was beat. Day 15, we have to protect these 2 pepper pulps in the top and bottom lane. And pepper pulps, another plant we make a lot of fun of on the channel, so I might have to try this challenge with it as well to see if it's really as bad as I think it is. But aside from that, day 15 was beat. Day 17 wasn't too difficult either. Day 19 had some pretty annoying snowstorms, but was also conquered. Day 20 ended up having this insane line of frozen imps in the bottom lane because of the caveman pusher zombies. But then I plant fooded this fat beat that was right next to them to get rid of most of the ice, and then slowly but surely all of the imps were beaten, barely beating day 20 without the need of a lawnmower. Day 22 has these frozen guacodiles who we instantly shovel, but then the weasel zombies are also introduced. But of course, 2 lines of 3 fat beat each were more than enough to beat them. Day 23, we have to protect these charred guards, so we place a column of fat beat right in front of them, and then also some fat beat in the front for the main damage, allowing us to pretty simply beat day 23. Day 26 actually got pretty scary at first because a couple of the weasels slipped through, taking out the top 2 lawnmowers instantly. So I had to semi-overprotect the top 2 lanes by placing a couple extra fat beat, but then out of nowhere, all my fat beat got frozen, and the bottom lane lawnmower was also taken by weasels, forcing me to be very cautious on planting some more fat beat to break the ice. But thankfully that was the last of the weasels, so we actually ended up beating day 26 on our first try. Day 27, and I know I mentioned this I think in every single challenge I do, but it's my favorite level of Frostbite Caves because there's no windstorms, so I can just spam as many plants as I want. But it actually ended up being surprisingly a little more challenging than I thought because I was spamming fat beat as fast as I could, as you can tell from my son, but they actually consistently kept on getting taken out. So even though you'd expect me to have a lot of defenses down by the end, the defenses were pretty minimal. But of course, with the help of the Rotobiga, we're still able to beat day 27. Day 28, I prepped a couple columns of fat beat. And these definitely were not optimal placements, but I felt like it still worked. And it did work for the most part, but I did have to replace 3 of them. But that was all of Frostbite Caves, beat with just fat beat. Next up,
You could be vaping formaldehyde, which is used in taxidermy.
Oh dear.
What?
Formaldehyde.
was all of Frostbite Caves, beat with just fat beat. Next up, Lost City in its entirety ends up being pretty simple for FAPB because it provides us with the gold tile sun. And for that reason, I'm super speeding over it because it's very easy to beat. There would normally be some threats, of course, like the shovel zombie or the umbrella zombie, but the FAPB has no problem in defeating those guys, so they aren't very much of a threat. And that was all of Lost City. Next up,
Are coming.
Far Future, very similarly to Lost City, is a very easy level without many threats. And the main reason for this is the addition of the power tiles, who make any difficult level very easy. There are of course some problems in Far Future, like the very tanky mech zombies, but with enough FAPB, those aren't very much of a problem either. And that was all of Far Future due with just a max level FAPB. Next up, Night 1 of Dark Ages starts, and of course, we always try to see how far we can get with FAPB without the need of gold blue. So my first placement is between those two sun graves to get the early sun, and then slowly planting more and more FAPBs to get more and more sun into the sun graves. And these defenses were enough to defend against this insane horde of cone hits. Day 2 starts with a pretty strategic placement of where I place a FAPB right next to a sun grave, but it's also in a place where it can defend against zombies pretty well. And this actually ends up working out because 2 more sun graves end up spawning right next to it. And honestly, I thought I could beat this level with just these 2 FAPB, but the top one ended up getting killed by the 2 bucket heads, because of course, as mentioned earlier, 2 bucket heads will take out a FAPB. But with that problem aside, Night 2 is pretty easy to beat without the need of a gold bloom. Night 3 is always a level where we have to start using the gold bloom, because if a plant costs more than 50 silent, we can only place one of it, since there's no sun gravestones in this entire level. So of course, with the help of a gold bloom, we got down to FAPB and beat Night 3. Night 5 has 2 flags, and I start by placing 2 FAPB in the up front tiles, and then later adding 4 more FAPB, 1 in front and 1 behind the ones that were already placed. And Night 5 also introduces the Jester zombie, who is very easily taken care of by the FAPB because they don't have any projectiles. And with the very unnecessary 4th FAPB in each lane, the final wave was made trivial and would beat Night 5. Night 6, defenses were prepped, and I chose to go with the placement that would cover the whole map, so I knew some zombies would spawn from the gravestones in the very back. And I did end up losing this FAPB in the front and the bottom middle lane because of the 2 bucket heads, and for some reason I just chose to not replace it this time, allowing the remaining FAPB to further heads come up. In the end, getting Night 6 as well. Night 7 has 2 flags, and I tried copying the placements of the previous level, but somehow misjudged the placement, so the column in the very back was actually not being hit. But of course, this is a very minor problem, so it didn't really affect anything. But there was one pretty interesting thing, which was the knights, and I found out that one knight is able to take out one whole FAPB by itself. And this could become a very big problem in the future levels where the king is introduced. Day 9 thankfully doesn't introduce the king yet, it only introduces the potions with speed and health boost the zombies. And of course, these potions can be a problem if a tanky zombie like a buckethead or a knight happen to get them, so for preventative measures, I chose to plant 2 FAPB right next to each other in the front lanes, just in case the tanky zombie were to come in. And using this method, we breeze past Night 9. Night 11, there's 2 flags, and there's that gravestone in the back we have to worry about, so I quickly got rid of it using the FAPB. And then the wizard was introduced in the very top lane, who instantly sheepified the FAPB that was doing damage to it, so I placed another FAPB to take it out. And in doing so, I realized that if we place the FAPB in the very front lane, the wizards basically become useless because they're instantly destroyed right as they walk in or are about to sheepify one of my FAPB. As you can see, the final wave sent in a lot of wizards, but none of my FAPB got notified, allowing us to easily beat Night 11. Night 12, we have to protect these pumpkins in the back and constantly plant food them so they don't fade away. And this is a semi-scary task, so I spammed FAPB in the very front to take care of the wizards and jesters and any other tanky zombies, and then 4 FAPB in the back for any that spawn through the gravestones. And thankfully, it's normally just imps spawning from the gravestones at the back, so Night 12 was also beat very easily. Night 15, I prepped some defenses, and I basically used the same placements that I did in the previous level because they seemed to work pretty well. And of course, as the final wave came in, they seemed to do their job perfectly, allowing us to defeat Night 15 in a very simple manner. Night 16 has 2 flags, and this time I chose to do the method where the FAPBs cover the entirety of the map. And this was kind of a problem in the bottom middle lane because a wizard instantly sheepified that FAPB, so I had to place another one right in front of it. And as things got hectic, I used a plant food to get rid of the kings. And the final wave threw in 3 kings, but not a lot of of zombies that the kings could make into knights. So after beating the kings, there was only this one knight left who took out one of my Fappy, and a couple seconds later I replaced it, and teaming up with the one behind it, they're able to take down the knight, defeating Knight 16. Knight 17's a pretty easy level, because it provides us with a surplus amount of sun. And I get down a decent amount of Fappy, but don't really feel the need to overkill, so I just save my sun for whenever I need it. And as the final wave was sent in, bringing forth the Gargantua, there still wasn't any need to overkill, as those 3 Fappy were able to take care of business, defeating Knight 17. And here it was, the last night of the Dark Ages. I of course quickly start by planting a Fappy right in front of the magnet room just for the extra protection, and then whenever I had enough sun, I would just spam more Fappy just for days. There were a couple oaks that spawned through the back gravestones, so I had to place down 2 Fappy in the back to take care of them as well. But aside from that, this level was dealt with pretty easily. Using these last Gargantuars worked to the allowing us to defeat all of Dark Ages with just max level Fappy. Next up, all of Dark Ages with just max level Fappy. Next up, here we were, the birthplace of Fappy. Allegedly, of course, because I didn't do any research on it. And it's also the world where it usually gets made fun of. But let's see how it does when it's at max level. Day 1 was taken down very easily. Days 2 and 4 followed. Day 5 were tasked to protect these 2 walnuts as well as these 2 Fappies. But an important thing to remember here is that the endangered Fappies are also at max level. And we're able to take down day 5 with only 1 column of Fappy. But here's the type of level that this world gets truly interesting in. And that is the conveyor level. Because most of the conveyors of Neon Mixtape Tour include Fappy, so we're technically forced to play them. But the problem is that the conveyor, for some reason, is very reluctant in giving us the Fappy, so this mower in the bottom lane was taken. And I made a heavy misplacement with the second Fappy that I got, because I was afraid that this first Fappy was about to be taken out. This completely left the bottom 2 lanes open to attack, especially that bottom lane, since it had no mower. But thankfully, we got a third Fappy very quickly, allowing us to protect ourselves. And then a fourth Fappy came in very fast. And honestly, these 4 were enough to beat the entire level, but we still kept on getting a couple more. So we placed down a 5th and 6th Fappy as kind of overkill. Thankfully, beating day 6 on our first attempt, but it gets much worse later on. Day 7 and 8 were extremely simple compared to day 6. Day 12, however, introduces a problem. The microphone whipper is sometimes able to kill my Fappy instantly. But then alongside the microphone whipper came another problem. The Gargantua of the Neon Mixtape Tour. And this Gargantua in particular is a problem because high health allows to take out the Fappy in the very front. And if we place the Fappy too far back, we use the strong range attack to take it out. Thankfully, day 12 was the easiest. Day 13, I prepped some defenses. And at first, I'd chosen to go with these 2 columns very early, and I quickly realized that I'd forgotten about the Gargantuars and the hits that they did. So I added 2 more Fappy in the back to take care of it. And there's another thing I realized within this level. If I have 2 or more Fappy hitting a microphone whipper as it's coming in, they will take out the microphone whipper. Well, most of the time that is, because for some reason, too many people in the PvZ community believe that PvZ2 is too easy, and I am one of them. So, I decided to create a challenge to test my own limits. Can I complete 100 days in endless mode under Nuzlocke rules? Now let me explain to you why. Can I survive 100 days in a PvZ Nuzlocke? Last time we...
Welcome to the wonderful world of...
There's a reason why not even 100 gamers have the 60-second platinum. Welcome to 60 Parsecs, the forgotten sequel to...
If you've been a fan of indie horror games for a while, you've probably stumbled upon that maze runner where you collect purple crystals while horrifying undead creatures hunt you down. And no, I'm not talking about Pac-Man. Dark Deception, the game that has captured the hearts of millions of gamers over the past decade. And due to popular demand, I set myself on a journey to 100% the nightmarish labyrinth that is Dark Deception. That means S-ranking each of the nightmares, finding every secret, and collecting over 20,000 soul shards. We are introduced to a woman named Veyr, who after making fun of our way, tells us we're dead and the only way to get our life back is to go through several nightmares and retrieve rank pieces for her. She opens up a portal to the first nightmare, and without any hesitation, we jump right into it. Before we begin though, I think it's worth mentioning each level has 5 achievements, with one always being for completing that level's S rank. And in case you're wondering, yes, they get progressively harder. With that out of the way, I enter the first nightmare, Monkey Business. This level takes place in a hotel, and immediately I earned my first achievement for ringing this bell 10 times. After doing so, we went down this elevator and were immediately greeted by this altar, which allegedly holds the ring piece we're here for. This level mainly serves as a tutorial, introducing us to the game's main gameplay loop. We learned that we have to collect all the soul shards on the map to break the barrier on the ring piece, and as you can probably guess, we're not alone in this maze. In this level, we're chased down by these disfigured monkeys with knives for hands, and they're not messing around. But there are special power-ups throughout the map that we can also use to combat them. These yellow orbs stun enemies for a short period of time, and the big red shards reveal enemies on the map. The red shards also count as bonus shards, which we need to collect for the S rank later down the line. We collect our first secret in the game and earn the achievement Eagle Eyes. These secrets unlock additional lore in the extras menu, and while this is the only level that grants us an achievement for finding one, we still have to collect each one in every nightmare to earn all the S ranks, which I decided I'd come back for, and you'll see why soon enough. Eventually, we earned 2 more achievements. One called Shard Enthusiast for collecting 100 shards in a row and not monkeying around for surviving for 2 minutes. Once I collected all the soul shards, a boss fight was initiated, and apparently the monkeys learned to cook. Us. They wanted to cook us. Nonetheless, we got to the altar and collected the ring piece, and we were introduced to a mysterious character who didn't seem too happy with us doing that. So we escaped straight to the portal and...
Welcome aboard. In the event of turbulence, please remain seated. Also, Boston wins tonight.
Oh, hi, Beers.
Today we're doing a true 100%.
Guys, I have 2 big issues right now. For one, I love FNAF World Refresh, but we can all admit it's kind of easy. In this FNAF World remake, there are so many
Spy is not a combat class. He is a stealth class, and he typically dies when being spotted, so you'll want to avoid that as much as possible. But no matter what, there will be times where you do find yourself in direct combat with another player, and it's good to know what you can do. Like remembering that Spy has multiple options actually. While the gun is the most obvious solution to combat situations, it's not your only option. In fact, you have 3 primary ones: shoot, trick stab, or run. The first 2 involve actually trying to kill them, the third is purely for survival. Oh yeah, there's also button knifing where you finish someone off by smacking them in the front with your knife. However, you don't simply have to choose one for every engagement you end up in. In fact, this is where the power of mix-ups comes into play, as suddenly switching from one option to another mid-fight can be used to bait enemy players or throw them off. Making them believe that you're trying to run away or gun them down often results in them running right at you, which can leave them open to a trick stab. The reverse is also true. If they're expecting a trick stab, they'll try to keep their distance, which is good for making space to try gun them down or to get a head start on the escape. Sometimes just hitting enough shots with your revolver can scare people into backing off and letting you get away.
But I can't hit my shots!
Yeah, well, that's just a you problem. I get that revolver aim can be really finicky, especially from the random spread you get from firing too fast, but this is straight up something you just need to get good at. On that note, remember that you have the ability to see enemy health, and you can use that information to take advantageous fights against weaker players, especially since you're typically already sneaking around the places they retreat to, because that's kind of a thing you do as the ninth class. If you choose to escape, a very powerful thing that I've talked about before are illusions. Simply put, it's the act of moving one way when starting to cloak, then changing direction once it's complete to throw the enemy off. When you do change direction, turn to look at the person chasing you to check that it's actually working. Always keep note of the last they saw of you. If you get bumped or shot and your cloak blinks, then change direction again if you think they saw it. Try and keep track of them while making them lose track of you. Successfully misleading players can cause them to waste a lot of time looking for you. Be wary of the information they have to go off. This also applies to trick stabs. They're obviously quite flashy, but they're also a good way to clutch a fight or take someone out with you. However, trick stabs can often fall apart very quickly if your target sees it coming. Again, they're most effective if they don't even know you're about to attempt one. Choosing which of the 3 options to take is not some binary guide. A lot of it will come up to your own knowledge and intuition. The more you play and mess it up, the better you'll get at making these decisions. And remember that you can mix them up or quickly switch between them. With these concepts in mind, I'm going to be going over combat with each of the 9 classes. though not just fighting against them, but how to work with them on your team. While Spy can feel like a solo unit a lot of the time, being wary of your teammates can be incredibly powerful. You aren't just getting lots of kills, you're creating an opening for your team to leave more destruction in your wake. You are causing problems. On purpose. Now, it needs to be said that what I say here cannot account for every possible situation. Watching my videos does not automatically make you a good spy. You need to put in the practice and experience. My videos don't just bypass that. But this video will help you understand the matchups much better. Scouts like to move a lot. Good scout players will use their high speed to make themselves hard to hit, often juking and changing direction constantly. However, this is offset by their low health, as they can go down relatively fast if you actually do hit them. The best place to fight a scout is in a smaller room, as it heavily restricts their range of movement, making it much easier to hit them, as they have less options as they can't just no-clip them. He's in the gun! Like the scout, you should also try to move erratically to make him miss his shots. You may not be as fast, but that means smaller spaces aren't as restrictive on your movement. Now, being the only class that can outrun you, poker losers are very important when escaping them, and open spaces are much better to go when doing so, as it gives you a massive range of movement, making it hard for them to narrow down the location. It's also worth noting that, like with Afterburn and other debuffs, being cloaked halves the duration of their Mad Milk, allowing you to get rid of it and lose them. So, when you do actually sneak up behind a scout for a normal backstab, it can be a bit awkward since even though they don't know you're there, they'll still be faster than you because they overdose on energy drinks. When this happens, just follow the scout and stay directly behind them. Once they get into combat, scouts have a tendency to walk backwards within the first few seconds. If you stay behind them like so, they'll walk straight into a knife. If you stay behind them like so, they'll walk straight into a knife. You and the scout are both flankers. You get behind the enemy lines to cause problems from unexpected angles. When it comes to any friendly flanker you see in the enemy lines, the best thing you can do is stay out of each other's way. Both of you rely on catching the enemy by surprise, so don't stick together too much as one of you may risk blowing the cover of the other. Whoever gets spotted first draws all the attention to themselves. However, this draws the attention away from whoever didn't get spotted. This is what's known as tunnel vision, a term used when people get so focused on a specific target that they become unaware of other things around them. This is something that you can abuse. Did the scout just run in and is causing havoc? Well, everyone has tunnel vision on him now. You can go and backstab them. The reverse is also true. You stab someone and everyone is looking at you, draw their attention away from the flanker so he can cause even more problems. Get good at identifying who the tunnel vision is focused on, not just with a scout, but with anyone sneaking around the back lines. Soldier is the jack-of-all-trades class, and is often very common. With their rocket launcher, they often have the advantage of splash damage. Yes, we'll get to you later. This allows them to pre-fire corners and deal damage to targets they can't even see. Unlike Scout, wide open areas are actually much better for fighting them than enclosed ones, as it allows you to much more easily avoid splash damage. You can limit their options further by staying away from the walls, or even taking the high ground. This can force them to hit you with a direct, or try to rocket jump up to bomb you from above. They're most susceptible to trick stabs while rocket jumping, as they can't make massive sudden adjustments to their movement while airborne, especially when trying to market garden you. Though, be wary of the direct hit. It has very little splash damage, but the rocket itself is much faster, and if it actually hits you directly, it can kill you in one hit. If you choose to run away from a soldier, remember that while undisguised, you can jump and try and surf the damage of its rockets, allowing you to gain distance, or just use it to get a trick stab on whoever was there in the wrong place at the wrong time. Also be wary that just normally sneaking up on a soldier from behind, on rare occasions they may suddenly rocket jump and kill you on complete accident. It just happens. Soldiers make up the main grunt of the team, so simply watch where they are and take advantage of the attention they may draw to themselves. they lack a hard counter, so the best thing you can do is enhance their strengths. Soldiers are known for being good against sentries due to their splash, so helping out a soldier by sapping a sentry can be a really effective combo to start a push.
Pyro is the infamous spy counter, to the point they got an entire episode to themselves.
So I'll keep this brief. The main weakness of a pyro is range. Flare guns exist, but aren't nearly as deadly. Some pyros like to stay in small spaces to ambush and account for their range weakness. Baiting them out of these areas can let you gun them down from range, as they have little to no cover to avoid your shots. Pyros often have patterns when spy checking, and the flamethrower can be heard. If you get caught on fire, break line of sight with flamethrower range, and get rid of the flames ASAP. Remembering health pack locations can save your life. While the Spicicle exists, be wary that it can sometimes make pyros more aggressive knowing they can't be trick stabbed. Though on that note, many pyros will see you as a free kill, and let that get to their head. They'll start running right at you, which can often leave them very susceptible to trick stabs, though they can air blast if they see it coming. I go into much more detail in the dealing with pyros episode, and to clarify, I didn't bring up all of Pyro's unlocks in that video because I felt they weren't important enough in the matchup. Pyros have very good crowd control and are great at causing chaos around them. Running right at your friendly pyro is a great way to escape danger, as they can act as a sudden roadblock. Pyros are known to struggle when pushing into sentry nests, even when Ubered, but this is mainly due to the knockback, so sapping a sentry can also be a great way to give your pyro an opening to take full advantage of their crowd control. Demos are highly projectile based. When fighting them, just gun them down while dodging their pipes and staying away from stickies. Demos don't like to shoot you with pipes when you're too close to them, as to avoid self-inflicted explosion damage.
Damn, he blew up.
With sticky bombs, imagine a sphere around it that roughly gauges its range. When fighting the demo, you want to stay out of it. If you're cloaked and see sticky bombs in your path, get past them as soon as possible and cross your fingers that the demo doesn't happen to detonate when you do. It's also worth noting that you can destroy sticky bombs with your revolver, though you should only do this to disarm a trap, and stay away from them while doing so. Similar to a soldier, they make up the main grunt of the team, so there's not really much else to fighting them.
Demo Knights can be an absolute menace, especially with certain unlocks being able to increase their base speed and their ability to charge at you or even fly.
At times, they can outrun you and almost feel like a complete counter. However, their melee-focused playstyle gives them a tendency to run right at you, which, you guessed it, leaves them open to trick stabs. And plus, even if they're faster than you can still escape them with illusions. Friendly demos to you are quite similar to soldiers. There's not much else to say here, as both are known for being really good at destroying nests, so assisting them in their process helps with the same.
Probably needed a hug, but went to Urban Plates instead. Urban Plates is the go-to spot for craveable food.
As both are known for being really good at destroying nests, so assisting them in their process helps with the same.
Heavy is the tank of TF2, having the highest health pool in the entire game.
However, good night. Heavies have the potential for massive damage output, and can soak up a lot of it themselves, so being able to instantly take one out can be very helpful for the team. That being said, heavies who are firing make much better targets than those that aren't, though be wary that good heavies are wary of spies, so you may really have to pick them over. You can use the sound of their gun to tell if they're revved up, unless they have the domicile. If you get spotted and they start firing at you, the sustained damage of the minigun allows them to track you. Because of this, you should break line of sight as fast as possible to throw their tracking off. Do not try and gun down a heavy that's already revved and is high health, as they will quickly outdamage you. Another good thing to look out for, or should I say listen for, if you hear this sound, it means that the heavy is eating a lunchbox item and is unable to do anything until the animation ends, potentially giving you free backstab. Many heavies are smart about this though, and will put their backstabs in the corner. Against a flat wall, then you should be able to backstab them from 1 to 2 sides. If in a corner, finding a way to jump on top of them may give you a valid backstab angle. though this could always work. And if you misjudge it... And if a heavy turns around at the last second before you stab, either break line of sight or go for a quick matador while you're still right in their face. Wait, wrong type of friendly. Wait, wrong type of friendly. That's not what I meant. Look, I don't know. Just keep them alive. They'll probably like give you sandwiches, knowingly sabotaging their own team, and plus disguising as them right in front of them is a pretty funny joke. It's pretty funny. A really funny guy. Heavies that are actually on your team draw a ton of attention due to their aforementioned high damage output and just being big. They're loud and obvious, and a big target for the enemy team, so take advantage of the attention they draw. Keep an eye out for any sniper that may be lining up a shot on them, and take them out before they do so, thus prolonging your heavy's rampage. The engineer matchup was literally the previous episode, so I'm just going to recap some stuff from that video. Taking out nests often requires good strategic plays and quick thinking. Take the sentry out of play ASAP before attacking the engineer, and it will put both of you on relatively equal ground in a 1v1. Always make sure the teleporter goes down. Do not underestimate its power for the team. It effectively acts as a respawn beacon and can get enemy players to the front lines much faster. As a certain engineer main once said,
You're a teleporter, and you're a winner. You're a winner. Team win.
Nests in general are really good at stopping pushes. When your team is pushing forward and the enemy engineer is trying to set up an advance, going ahead and disrupting that process can prevent them from setting up a nest in time before your team arrives. Identify which nest and building is being the biggest problem, and put pressure on it. If you want more detail on how to approach this matchup, check out the episode specifically dedicated to it. Engineer nests make for a powerful backline. Be wary of the location of friendly sentries, as they can be great fallback options. Try keep an eye out for enemy players preparing to attack or take out the nest, and stop them in their tracks, as that keeps the supportive hold of the nest alive. When taking teleporters, it can be a good habit to cloak as you do, just in case you end up closer to the action than you expect. A dispenser is usually nearby, and restoring cloak from it doesn't eat up the dispenser's ammo. And plus, you can even crouch inside of it, or just space your armor. On that note, when a friendly engineer is nearby, try to avoid picking up ammo packs that he may need, as he needs them much more than you so he can set up quickly. And if your engineer places an entrance that's spawned during setup, you can really quickly switch to engineer, upgrade it to level 3 for him, then switch back to spy before the round starts. It's highly appreciated and saves the engineer precious time. Highly appreciated and saves the engineer precious time. Medics are an incredibly important member of their team. Their healing keeps their team alive for a lot longer and undoes damage that your team deals. The stock Uber charge grants complete damage immunity for 8 seconds, making it arguably the most powerful move in the entire game. Medics build their Uber over time while alive, taking roughly 40 to 60 seconds. This is under the assumption they're actually healing people, which they should be. Successfully managing to pop one allows them to push into the enemy and deal a massive amount of damage. That being said, getting a backstab on a medic can do an immense amount of damage to the progress of the enemy team. Not only have they temporarily lost their healer, but you've also erased any Uber charge they may have had. Even if they didn't have much, time is still wasted as they wait to respawn and start building again. Sometimes you may fail to get a backstab on a medic, but the next best thing you can do is to make them panic pop, which is when they use an Uber to keep themselves alive. While this isn't as good as dropping an Uber, you have effectively made them waste it. Medics play a constant balancing act of staying close enough to the action to effectively heal, but not getting too close to the danger, so they tend to stay right behind the front line. Though be aware they can turn around while healing, and they may use this to check their back with potential French men. Good disguise acting can trick them into healing and running right up to you. You can use this to double back and stab them while getting healed. Ultimate betrayal. In rare cases, if you're doing a really good job, they may even overcharge you. If this happens, just try to play it off for at least a few seconds and try to drag them into danger once it wears off. Ultimate betrayal. Just be aware that hitting a disguised spy with the crossbow still gives the enemy hit sound, so that can potentially give you away if hit by one. And also be aware of the Medics also have a tendency to get real tunnel visioned right before they pop an Uber, giving you a potentially golden opportunity to drop the Uber right at the last second to cause maximum emotional damage. If the Uber does get popped before you can drop it, just stick behind them and play it out with the disguise. Wait until you can see the Uber about to wear off, and stab the medic or their patient the moment it does. Their spy awareness is typically extremely low during an Uber. On that note, if you beef a stab on a medic, sometimes you can run fast and stab whoever he was healing instead. Given you are the spy, don't expect to be very high on the priority list of healers, especially since you won't be
instead of brain. Probably that's why we didn't completely destroy everyone when we had the chance. He told you so. What? This is only a delay of your defeat. Discovered some new fusions that are stronger than ordinary plants. And they do this not only with plants. We will not be able to get to the answer anywhere close until the new brigade arrives. Don't worry, you don't have to go straight. We'll have to wait for the brigade. was not included in my contract. Don't eat it. Instead of brain, probably that's why we didn't completely destroy everyone when we had the chance. I told you so. What? This is only a delay of your defeat. Discovered some new fusions that are stronger than ordinary plants. And they do this not only with plants. We will not be able to get to the house or anywhere close until the new brigade arrives. Don't worry, you don't have to go straight. Well, we'll have to wait for the brigade.